Welcome to the Boss Up Talk podcast. This podcast spotlights unapologetic creatives, entrepreneurs, and Black women founders who have taken the leap of faith. Boss Up Talk is here to help you find your creative gift, develop it, and build a sustainable lifestyle from it. In each episode, we'll discuss the mindset, habits, routines, branding tricks, marketing tips, business strategies, systems, and processes that help you make money doing what you love. Let's boss up.
Hey, cool girls. Welcome. Happy Wednesday. So, for this week's Boss Up Talk, I am sitting down with Miss Jay Ivory, and we are going to discuss a couple of key things in the month of side hustles. So we'll talk about how to market your business tonight on a budget because that's super important. We'll also talk about messaging and how you can start to get your message out to your audience. And then we'll talk about executing a vision, a creative vision. So we're going to give you some tips on how to start executing your creative vision for your brand or your business or whatever you have going on. So with all that being said, welcome, Jay. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell the cool girls a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Hey everybody. Hey all the cool girls. I'm so elated to be a part. I'm now a cool girl, so I feel really, really lit. So thank you, T, for inviting me again. My name is Jay Ivory. Some people call me Jordan. They call me DJ. Whatever you feel free to call me. It don't matter. But I am actually a creative director. I'm now the person that brands and businesses call when they want to connect their visual to their audience. So that could be through beauty, through art, through fashion, whatever that is. That's typically what they call me for. But a little bit about me, I started this entrepreneur journey back in 2014. And I started out as a makeup artist, to a graphic designer, to a web developer, then turned into a creative director. So all these things kind of just was blocks to this. So I didn't just drop down in the seat as a creative director. I kind of worked and paid my dues all the way up. So I'm super humbled and elated to be talking to you guys because this is right up my alley, how to start your business and how to support your side hustle on a budget. Because listen, sis ain't always have it.
Right. Go ahead and mute your mic, Jay. Um, so no, that's great. And I'm so excited to sit down with you because you participated in the Black Women Creators Conference and you did such a great job. And we started getting into it and dropping jewels. And I was like, we have to continue this conversation. So I'm actually trying to pull up Facebook so that I can see the comments. So give me 1 second. The one man band, a one woman band today. All right. So, yeah, I want to be able to see the comments tonight just in case we get any questions about starting businesses. So, let's start here with marketing your business. Okay, so as a business owner, a lot of times we're like super excited to get started. We might have a full-time job and maybe we're starting a side hustle or something like that. But once we get into it, it gets a little discouraging because a lot of times we don't know anything about marketing or how to put yourself out there to get people interested in your brand. So from your perspective, Jay, what are some of the first things that you should be thinking about when it comes to getting your brand in front of people and marketing?
That's such a great question. And it's so funny that you asked that because I was having a conversation with one of my mentees and they was just like, I'm just trying to get people to see my stuff and I'm just trying to market. I keep posting, I keep doing this, I keep doing that. And a lot of times what we don't realize is that it is the quality of your work that speaks for itself. And I think that once you start understanding like quality in Instagram, YouTube, unquote market your business, but it is in which the quality in which you show up, because the online presence is saturated. And so I always tell people, what kind of quality are you, because that is honestly the first level in marketing your business. It has to be, you have to look at what other, if you want to be respected in Hollywood and you want to be, you have to start somewhere, right? But you have to put out some level of excellence in terms of marketing. Marketing is the wheels that take you to where you want to go. So you have to operate in excellence on this level so that you can be respected on that level. Does that make sense? Does that help?
Yes, yes, yes. Like you're really touching on some key things, especially with, because I get some of the same questions about like today I got a question about, you know, I just started my business. I've been posting, same thing, but I'm not getting, any new followers, and I'm not getting people to go to the website. And so the first thing that you mentioned was quality. And a lot of times, um, we take the easy way out as business owners, or maybe even creatives, in the sense of where we might see something and like, oh, we're inspired, let me just repost it. But when it comes to marketing, with everything being so oversaturated, you have to find a way to be original, and you have to make sure that the representation that you're putting out for your brand is top quality. Because what's going to make you stand out from everybody else who has a boutique, a soap line, or anything else? And so I definitely agree with that. Are you there, Jay? Okay. I know we're having some Wi-Fi issues. I just wanted to make sure. So yes, that's great. So are there any tips that you can give about how to create top quality content when it comes to marketing? What are some tips that you give some of your clients?
I had this thought as you was talking about the quality in which you show up. And if I had to give tips, it would be, you want to study, whatever lane that you're in, you want to study your craft around, study other people that are excelling around you. You know what I mean? And I know that we don't always have all the money to put in and to put into marketing. We don't have those things, especially when we're startups and we're just starting. And then it's also a creative business. And I want to speak to every creative entrepreneur that you have to learn how to make quality out of nothing. You know what I mean? Like, creative entrepreneurs, we are problem solvers. And so that thought set down in me. But if I had to give a tip, it would be really finding what's working and what's not working. If you post something and you're posting and it's not working, then you have that reference to say, this is not working, let me switch it up. Now sometimes it is trial and error. You can't skip the struggle. I wish there was something I could give you to say, hey, this is exactly what you I can give you exactly what you need to do right now. I can give you point A, exactly every step that I took, and it still won't be the same because you still got to go through the struggle. And I think that if I had to give a tip right now, it would be learn to put quality, sharpening your skill as a photographer. That may not be hiring Canva templates into something great. If it had to be anything else, it'd be learning how to cut. You may not can afford a brand strategist right now, but you can get into a them, and it's okay to have a mentor. You know what I mean? Get under somebody and get feedback, have accountability. And those would be the first tips that I would give someone starting out that is like, I don't know what to do when it comes to marketing. I hope that helps.
Yes, yes. There are a couple of things that you touched on that I wanted to reiterate. And the first thing is, a lot of us, okay, so we don't know a lot about marketing. We don't know a lot about business, but it's so important. And this was one of my tips as well, is to get up under people who do, or connect with people who have some knowledge base or resources that you can utilize, and you guys work together in a collaborative effort. So that's been something that has really, really helped me. I have mentors. Okay, I reach out to people. I ask questions. I do a lot of research. And that was another tip that I wanted to discuss. Doing your research, and not only that, but knowing. Okay, so let's start from the basics. Okay, so when it comes to marketing, you mentioned if you're posting something and it's not working, then it's not obvious, but you should be marketing according to what your audience wants. And so here are some tools that you can use to figure out what it is that your customers want, what is working for them when it comes to marketing. So know your audience. If you don't know what Google Analytics is, go look it up right now. Go look it up. You need to be using tools like Google Analytics to help you figure out what your competition is doing, what people are searching, how they're visiting your website, or what it is that they are searching for, so that you can start to market in that way. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention was ask your audience questions. So if you're posting on Instagram or you're posting on Facebook, use your stories, ask questions, pose questions. What are they interested in? What shows are they watching? What food are they eating? What products do they like the most? Those are things that are going to help you figure out how to market to your audience. What are your thoughts on using different platforms? So if you're starting out as a business owner, do you have a favorite platform that you use, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube? And if so, do you have tips to market on those platforms?
Yeah, I always tell my clients, what are you most comfortable with? Is it Facebook? Is it Instagram? Some of my clients don't have an Instagram, but they good on Facebook. You know what I mean? Some of my clients don't have either Facebook or Instagram, but they are Twitter is their home. And so I like to figure out first of all, what are your goals? You know what I mean? Every platform serves, you know, free that purpose of marketing your business, but what are your goals? Are you an author, thought leader? Are you a creator? Are you a personality? These are the platforms that you should prefer or preference first, whichever one you're comfortable. That sounds weird, but for me, I was super comfortable on Facebook, and I garnered 95% of my business off Facebook as a makeup artist. I was a makeup artist before it was cute on Instagram. Like that's where I garnered my business. I didn't get on Instagram. I got on Instagram when it started, but I got on Instagram unintentional, not being intentional. And once I had to learn Instagram, then that became a really great place for me to build my business. And then of course Twitter. So I think that you have to figure out what your goals are and figure out what social media platform will best support it. If you are a writer, then Twitter should be your place, your safe haven, because you can write, you can put out great valuable content really quickly. It can be retweetable, and you're positioned as a thought leader. If you are a creator or a personality, it's between YouTube and Instagram. If you're a storyteller, your business, and you are a community-based business, then building community, you're really big on stretching across and building that net. Then you definitely want to be on Facebook, because Instagram is a great place to market, but it goes and know what you're trying to do. And that also goes into what you said earlier. And I say, if you had to work with one person, only one, who would that be? What they eat, what magazines they read, what car they drive, how much money they make, their profession or non-profession, what fragrances they like, because then you know how to get in front of those people. And I teach my clients how to do that. And if it was one person, because your business is going to grow, it's going to expand, and then you'll have multiple avatars, right? But when you're first starting out, if you're trying to reach everybody, you're reaching nobody. I hear this all the time. I want to be a woman empowerment speaker. That's great, but what is your niche? And niche is such a buzzword that we don't really think about it. What specifically do you want to talk about? Because if I'm in a room full of people and I say, hey, hand me the salt, nobody's handing me the salt. Everybody gonna look at me like, what you talking about? But if I say, hey, T, can you pass me the salt? Now, people overheard me, and the closest person to me may bring it, but it's direct and I'm going to get a result. So you have to prioritize your social media platforms in which it supports you the best. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, you are answering the questions. You better drop these jewels, Jay. Let them know. So yes, if you are just joining us, we are talking about just how to market your business on the budget. And Jay is really giving some good insight on what she tells her clients when it comes to just getting in front of the audience that they want to get in front of. Now, bear with us if we have some like freezing issues. It's some Wi-Fi things going on, so just make sure that you tune in to the sound. Because we are really, really getting into it. And I have some other questions for you to follow up about that. But before I get to my other question, I wanted to add on to what you were saying. Key things, and this just to reiterate. If you are marketing to everybody, you are marketing to nobody. I think that is so important, and that is one of the first things that you need to realize. And then the other thing that you mentioned was an avatar. And I wanted to break that down a little bit because it might be a foreign subject to some of our creatives. But an avatar is essentially a customer persona, or your typical or your best customer prototype. And so when you're thinking about marketing, you need a few customer personas or avatars or typical customers that actually spend money or have spent money to build your marketing profile on. Who, like she said, who are those people? What are they listening to? How much money do they make? Where do they live? And digging in deeper, what is their psychology? You know, what is their personality traits? What makes them tick? What makes them want to press the like button or share a post or tell a friend about your brand? Those are the things that you need to really, really focus on when it comes to digging into how to market your business. So I wanted to follow up on that. And then I wanted to ask your opinion about okay, so we're talking about marketing. You do a great job on Instagram with using your stories. I love your morning meditations. And I just got hit to it. I was like, oh, this is a thing. But what are some tips that you can give as far as Instagram on growing your audience authentically and getting real followers, or real people to join your community or your niche versus people who aren't engaged?
Sure. Can you hear me? People ask me that question all the time, and I always think that I'm like, dang, I don't got that many followers. Like, I don't feel like I have a lot of followers. Now, I've gotten to this point
wait a minute.
I feel like...
Wait a minute, Jay. Don't discount yourself. Okay, wait a minute. Let me make sure I'm muting this. So you mute your mic real quick. So okay. Don't let Jay come here and play y'all. Okay. So it's not even about followers, but you have above the 10K range, right? And so a lot of us are trying to get there. A lot of us are just starting out. So yes, girl, you got followers, but not only that, you have people who are engaged, who comment, who share your posts. That you got the tea, so let us know.
I think it's all about connecting with your audience. I learned a long time ago, we try to network up instead of networking across. And it's stronger to go with someone than to try to climb a ladder and go up. And I use that reference into building my following, for lack of better words, because I'm always thinking about I was literally on the phone today saying, I always want to be some type of prescription to a illness, or I always want to add value. So anytime I'm posting, I'm thinking about, is this value or is this just me posting? And sometimes we have that. And I believe that I have gotten to this point and grown a tribe of wonderful women on my team because we speak the same language. When I figured out my avatar, I started talking directly to her. So there's no misinformation, there's no miscommunication, there's nothing. I'm talking to my avatar and my avatar only. Now, if you want to be in this conversation, you can be in this conversation. But if it doesn't, I'm very tunnel vision. And even now, I'm working on my vernacular and how I speak to them, because we're evolving as not just a company or as a personality, but we're evolving as a community. So our voices, when you're in tune with your people, is you start to switch. But growing, if I had some tips and tricks, it would be connect with them personally. Like, you are a creator online, and so you need to serve a purpose and add value, whether it's online or not online. And people think that I got all these followers because I was just on my phone. No, when I'm at the grocery store, when I meet people, I mean, of course, pre-COVID, right? But when I'm at the grocery store, when I meet people, I always try to add value. Or if when I'm out at the gas station, or I am always representing my brand. So when you come in contact with me, the same person you get online is the same person you're gonna get out there, and the same person you get out there is the same person you're gonna get online. And I believe that has helped me cultivate and grow organically.
I'm gonna reiterate some of the key points that you were saying, Jay, and then we're gonna pivot, and I would like to talk to you about how to execute a creative vision. So I really want to just give some tips about that moving forward. But to close out this talk about marketing, some of the key things that we mentioned was knowing your audience, right? Knowing the avatar, or customer type or customer personality, whatever you want to call it, but really digging in, getting to know them and connecting with them. And don't just throw a wide net, like do a random post like, oh, I'm taking a picture of my product, or oh, I'm reposting this random thing that I found on Canva. You really have to do the research and find out who you're talking to, because once you find that person, once you find that voice that connects with you, then it's so easy to market. The other thing that I wanted to reiterate was teaming up and cross promoting, or like you said, networking across versus networking up. And it's so important. Like, I really had to think about that, because when I first started out, my goal was, okay, I need to be networking up. I want to, if they got this many followers, I want to reach out to them, or, I want to collaborate. None of that is going to work in the long term for you. So it is so important to build across. And that's why collaboration is so key to marketing your business, or even being connected in the business world.
And
so with all that,
can I say something really quickly? To that point, I am only as successful because of my network across. I've got some of the major gigs in my life from asking my friends to be a part of what I got going on. I promise you, I've been on sets. I've been in places where I should not have been because of the connections and the people that I work with on this level. Every level, I always am intentional about how can we all eat, and sometimes, they may rise up, but they never forget that opportunity that you gave them when they were down there. And so when I got that mentality, it has always shown me, like, no matter what people do, no matter what happens, always try to, like you said, collaborate and work together instead of trying to climb a ladder like crabs in a barrel. I just wanted to say that. That's it.
Okay. Yes. Not like crabs in a barrel. Exactly. Okay. So we talked, and these are a couple of things that we talked about. We talked about capitalizing on places like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. And what Jay really said was focus on your strengths. So if you are very comfortable on Facebook or Instagram, um, focus on that platform and build your audience there and then expand. So I wanted to reiterate that. Now, let's move on to executing a creative vision. And so, Jay, you and I both are creative directors, and that's one of the hats that we wear. And so I get a lot of questions about, okay, how do you say I have an idea? I want to do a photo shoot for my business, or I want to do this video for a brand that I'm working on. How do you start to execute that vision and bring it to life? Like, what are some steps that you could give, or tips that you can give to our audience about taking a vision that you have and then executing it, working with the team, all of those aspects?
So let's talk about, this is me all the time. I always have ideas that I have to bring to life. And the first thing I either ask my client or ask myself is, what is my goal? Where on earth does this land? Does this land next to, if it's a product, where does it stand on the shelves? If it's a campaign, what kind of campaign do I want it to resemble? Right? So a lot of times we have this idea, but we need to find where there are similarities that have already have happened, so that we can have a point of reference. Sometimes we do create stuff that haven't been done before, and 9 times out of 10, I hate to say this, creators, we have not. Okay, there's always something like it that has been done, and I don't care. It's okay. Do it anyway. Okay, it don't matter. Do it. Just glean from that, because obviously they've done it right, and then that way you can incorporate what they've done into, not copy, because it ain't gonna be them, but make it you. So a lot of times I start with mood boarding. So if that's tearing out of magazines, downloading pictures off the Instagram, saving videos that I've seen, saving YouTube videos, and then I have all of this, and then say I don't necessarily have the money, because we're talking about on a budget, right? You have to find out what you can actually do. If you're not tech savvy, I know you got a friend or somebody that is. Grab them in on a project. Say, hey, you get credit and you'll get rights to whatever, so we can work this out. Okay. If you don't have a photographer, you can't afford one, there are millions of rental companies. And there are millions of photographers that are just starting out that just want a chance. Work with them and say, hey, I remember when I first started out, I worked with a photographer and I was like, this is what I want to do. And they were like, I don't know how to do it. We worked together and we cultivated each other's gifts. See, that's the power in collaboration, is that you can cultivate each other's gifts. And so you work together. You have this dream. There has to be some level of execution behind your idea. So get your mood board together, grab your team, okay? Get everybody on board, and be a good steward of it. But I'm gonna keep talking. This is often. Okay, move closer. I don't know. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. She's shaking her head. Yeah. So I lost my train of thought. Where was I at? Okay. So if you're trying to gather execute a creative idea, huh?
Hold on, Jay. You're breaking up a little bit. But okay, I see you moving. So hold on, we're gonna come back. So she was basically saying that Oh, you were talking about collaborating. So you mentioned that when you first started, it's kind of frozen. You mentioned that when you first started out, that you started working with basically your peers because you were like, hey, let's get this together. And that's how I started out as well. And that's exactly how I've been able to do as much as I've been able to do as a business owner. It's about collaborating. It's about getting your friend that's a creative director, getting your friend that's a stylist, getting that makeup artist, or reaching out to somebody who's just starting out. Hey, there's a photographer that has some cool pics, but they haven't even gotten into fashion yet. Maybe they want to, and they're and now you have some photos for your business. So it's so key to collaborate. And a lot of us think that it's either hard or expensive to do. And the trick is to just open your mouth, sweetie. All you have to do is say it, ask a question, or say, hey, are you interested in collaborating? The worst that somebody can say is no. And then you know what you do? Move on and keep it going. So I really, really wanted to follow up on that. But are you good, Jay? Are we here? We here? We frozen? Oh no, we here. Okay. Okay. So one last thing, and then let's close this thing out because this Wi-Fi is giving us Corona. Don't let us be great vibes.
Can you hear me?
A little bit.
Can you hear me?
I heard you, girl. I don't know what's going on with this Wi-Fi today. Jeez Louise. This Wi-Fi is serious. Let's go ahead and close this thing on out since Wi-Fi won't let us be great. The last thing that I wanted to talk to you about, because we talked about, executing a creative vision, and the best key that we can give is collaborate if you don't have a big budget right now. Think about bartering, think about exchange of services, think about working together and sharing whatever that finished product or content is. All of you guys having the rights to that and being able to share that on your own platform. So that's great. Now, the last thing that I wanted to talk about before we get out of here is just an overall tip on how to get your message out to your audience. Like, what is your number one tip, Jay, on honing down on what your key message is and then translating that? I know you talked a lot about relating to your audience and all of those things. So just close us out with, a synopsis of what is going to help you get your message to your audience and start making those sales.
The biggest key is like we said, I mean, I don't know how else to put it, but when you know your target, when you know your avatar or your ideal client, you will know what to say to them. And that just goes back. Like, for example, like I know my target audience is creative women in leadership. So how do I talk to them? I ain't gonna be, I'm talking to y'all like how, but if I'm on there, if it's creative women in leadership and I want Black creative women in leadership, I can say sis, I can say girl, I could talk about all the things. It's just a long conversation, whatever it is that you're talking about, whether it's your cupcake business or you're a hairstylist, you're constantly talking to them about what it is that you serve them with, just in different ways. So in one scenario, you may be if I'm on a kid friendly level, you know what I mean? Like things that interest them on a kid friendly level. Like people buy into the story, people buy in to your why. They buy into what you can do for them. So if you're constantly telling them what you can do for them, they're gonna end up buying your product. But you got to believe in it too. So that is one of the key things that I would say to get your message across. Of course, you know, anytime we will.
You went out on us, Jay. Yeah, you went out on us. But thank you so much, Jay.
I think
Let
it's
me
frozen. Is it frozen?
Mm-hmm. Frozen. She's all right. So oh, she's muted, but thank you, Jay, so much. Oh, I don't know if she's still talking. This Wi-Fi is just messing me up today. Thank you so much, Jay, for joining me today. We're gonna have to do this again. But I'm sure that there were some tips that each of you can take home with you. Remember that nobody is going to believe in the business or brand if you don't believe in it yourself. Okay. And the biggest tip that I want to leave with everyone today, and I've been applying this as well, is every time, like every day that you are getting up and going to work or focusing on a business or brand, you need to be telling the world about it. You need to be telling the world about what your day to day is like. You need to be telling them about why this business, why this product is so great. You need to be sharing, you know, customer reviews and all of that. But the biggest thing is put yourself out there. Put yourself out there for collaboration and continue to be in people's faces about your brand or your business, because it's not just going to take one post to convince somebody to buy something from you. So that's the biggest tip that I can give tonight. And thank you again, Jay Ivory. Good night, cool girls, and I will see y'all next week for the next Boss Up Talk.